say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening. My name is Dennis Cheney, and on behalf of the Bowling Green Area Chamber of Commerce, welcome to Bowling Green. It is certainly a privilege and an honor to have this community be a part of our community for these days. If you would, I'm going to provide our invocation for the evening, so if you would bow your heads and pray with me. Father God, we come to you this day praising your name and thanking you for who you are. Thank you for your faithfulness to each one of us. Thank you, Lord, for being faithful to equip us where you have called us to serve. And, Lord, I thank you for this community. I thank you for each family that's represented in this community of enthusiasts, Lord, for a car that you provided the knowledge, Lord, to create and to redesign. Father, I pray that as this community rallies around their support of this vehicle, that you'd continue to bless the sale of this vehicle, Lord, to go beyond what we can imagine, because as these vehicles sell across this country, you're providing food and shelter and clothing for families. And this community here tonight is a part of that. This community is a part of your plan to prosper and encourage families and other communities, to Lord, not only across this nation, but across the globe. We ask that your hand would be on that and it would bless it. Father, I pray for the leadership of this group. I pray that you would bless them with vision, to Lord, with an ability, and to Lord, to partner together. I pray that you would bless them, to Lord, with a cause, to Lord, that brings honor and glory to you. But most of all, Father, we thank you so much for everything you accomplished for us on the cross of Calvary. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. And thank you for your perfect plan, your sovereign plan for each one of us. Pray, dear Lord, that we would all be Christ-like in everything we say and do. I ask that you bless these people, return them home, dear Lord, to their communities, to their families. And again, we just thank you for the privilege to be able to be a part of this enthusiast community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Be seated.
Please welcome Chair-elect of the National Corvette Museum Foundation Board of Directors, Michael LaRocca.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the National Corvette Museum Board of Directors and staff, welcome to the 2025 induction ceremony for the Corvette Hall of Fame. The Corvette Hall of Fame was created by the National Corvette Museum Board of Directors in 1998, making 2025 the 27th annual Corvette Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Will all our current and former members of the board please stand? The purpose of this award is to confer the highest honor and recognition on the most influential individuals in the history of the Corvette. The award recognizes those people who have made significant contributions to their respective fields, each having reached the highest level of accomplishment. Inductees must also possess the highest standards of integrity and character to positively reflect and enhance the prestige of the Corvette. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you enjoy tonight's celebration.
Please welcome Chair of the National Corvette Museum Foundation Board of Directors, Kay Wagner.
Good evening. I'm thrilled to be with you all tonight and to be part of the ceremony celebrating the lives and accomplishments of these deserving Corvette Hall of Fame members-elect. I would like to take a moment to give you a bit of insight into the rigorous and thoughtful process that goes into the selection of inductees to the Corvette Hall of Fame. The process is divided into two phases. In the first phase, the Corvette Hall of Fame Nominating Committee, consisting of 12 anonymous voting members, each serving 3-year terms, is vested with the responsibility of nominating a slate of Corvette Hall of Fame candidates in each of 3 categories: racing, GM, and enthusiast. During the second phase of the election process, a panel of no fewer than 100 Corvette Hall of Fame electors determine our Hall of Fame members-elect. To be an elector, individuals must have participated actively in the Corvette community for at least 15 years and must themselves merit respect and recognition for their accomplishments and/or knowledge in one or more aspects of Corvette. I know each of them regard it as both an honor and an opportunity to recognize those who are most important to the history and legacy of the Corvette. So now you know just how complex it is to be selected as a member of the Corvette Hall of Fame. That knowledge should make you even more confident that tonight's inductees are truly worthy and deserving of this honor. If you will refer to your program, you will find a complete listing of our current Hall of Fame members. Would each of the Hall of Fame members who are present tonight please stand when I call your name? I would ask that the audience hold your applause until the very end. Alan Barker, Ray Battellini, Karen Blandini on behalf of Dan Gale, John Brookmeyer, Gary Claudio, Will Cooksey, Tony DiLorenzo, Gordon Killebrew, Terry McManman, Tom Peters, Richard Prince, Wendell Strode, and Tom Wallace. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here tonight to celebrate the next class joining your exclusive group. Earlier this year, we were notified of the passing of Corvette Hall of Fame member Gib Hufstetter. Please join me now in honoring his lasting legacy. 27 years ago, the Corvette Hall of Fame was created to honor and celebrate those whose lives and careers have left an indelible mark on the history of the Corvette. Over the years, we have honored only 26 deserving men and women, and tonight, we are here to celebrate the induction of 4 more incredibly worthy individuals into the Corvette Hall of Fame.
Please welcome President and CEO of the National Corvette Museum, Bryce Burklow.
You'll make me cry. Welcome. So, during the 1980s, Corvette owed its success on the racetrack to a network of privateer racers. These privateers conducted some of the best performance testing of the 4th generation Corvette, turning the C4 into a virtually unbeatable competitor in SCCA endurance racing. Kim Baker was at the forefront of those efforts as a driver, an engineer, and a team builder. Corvettes were not the first cars that Baker drove competitively, but the C4 took his racing career to new heights. Baker and his team became so dominant that the SCCA banned Corvettes from competing in its endurance division. I'm going to clap. Yeah. Although Baker had opportunities to race elsewhere, he stayed with the Corvette, assisting with the development of the new ZR1. He and his fellow privateers would push the ZR1 to record-breaking speeds. Through teamwork, dedication, Baker played a vital role in putting the C4 at the front of the pack. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look now at Kim Baker's incredible story.
The drives are more leisurely these days, but it's fair to say that Kim Baker's mind is always racing.
Kim Baker is the leader.
We dominated that race.
And Kim Baker wins the SCCA World Challenge here in Lime Rock.
When Kim Baker climbed behind the wheel of a C4 in the 1980s, he reestablished Corvette as both a racing mainstay and a showroom icon. Riding his heavy right foot to victory lane, his tinkerer's mind to next-gen innovation, and his overall domination to eventual banishment.
In 3 years of running Porsches against Corvettes, the Porsche never won one race.
He's amazingly smart.
He's just the whole thing.
You could just see him change into this animal that just was not going to give up on a corner.
We'll go back to the starting line of this track master's influential career and maybe even get a few tips on how to set up your own Corvette.
Is disassembling the car to the bare frame. Design a roll cage. Bzzz. Wheels. Dyno test everything. Cooling system. Asymmetrical alignment. Bzzz. 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 Done.
Even as a kid growing up in Western Massachusetts, Kim Baker was miles ahead of everyone else.
When I was in grade school, I'd usually be ahead of the class on getting things done, and I'd spend my time drawing race cars. And it looked like a C4 Corvette for some reason.
It wasn't long before he turned those hand-drawn dreams into mechanical obsession, plugging into the local racing circuit at an early age.
Started with quarter midgets, go-karts, mini bikes, anything with wheels that you can make go faster.
But racing was not only a fixation for Kim Baker, it was an education.
Every car I've driven, I've learned something from. It was definitely in me, and that's what I wanted to do to earn a living.
Kim got his first big break in professional racing with Fiat. And when his tiny team started winning manufacturers' challenges against larger factory crews, he knew greater success was just a matter of time.
The Fiat company was great to me. Every manufacturer could bring 1 or 2 cars to it. And my little team with like 3 people, we defeated all the big companies 3 times.
After those winning Fiat seasons, Kim was ready to make the leap to a higher class. And he had his eye on a very specific car.
That was the first season I raced a Corvette. I preferred to have an American car. I'm a patriotic person, and I like America, and I like Corvettes.
He knew he had a great car, and he wanted to participate in that greatness.
And I thought I could get the overall victories, and we did, including the national championship in '84. And the funny thing about that '84 national championship, when the checkered flag came down, I didn't win it. I was second. But the first place car had a boost control inside the car, which is not legal. So when he got back to tech inspection, he was out, I was in.
Winning that first championship drew the attention of sponsors like Bernie Finkel, who provided Kim with more cars and resources.
They knew we were basically a private underdog team. They wanted to win too, and it really worked out well.
The following season, he switched to endurance competitions, assembling his Baker Racing team with like-minded car junkies, and a critical piece from his Fiat days.
John Bruce, my longtime friend, he was the best strategist of all.
He said, you know, SCCA is starting a pro endurance series. What do you think? I said, I'm up for it.
Kim was pretty much a one-man band, but he put together a hell of a team that I'd put up against a Penske.
Kim has this amazing ability to put together incredibly good people, work together, empower them to make decisions, and get the most out of them.
He was all about preparation, building the right car, making things last. He knew when things were going to break or not break. He knew ahead of time what was going on.
I had a good, really good team. Everybody had the desire to win. Nobody was there to have fun. We were all there to work and win the race.
I wouldn't give the experience up for $1 million, but I wouldn't do it again for $1 million either.
He built the best cars, he was the best driver, he prepared the cars the best, and we won the series because we had the guy like Kim Baker behind every one of those different aspects of what we had to do to make a winning car.
All that hard work and preparation led to victory after victory, even when it wasn't supposed to.
We were running away with the championship that year. The organizers came to Kim during a race and said, Kim, what would you think about letting so-and-so win this one? And twice, Kim said, okay. The first time it happened was at Mosport up in Canada. Kim pulled over to the side a bit and let the second place car go ahead. And so what happened on the last lap of that race? The car that he let pass broke. And so guess who won? The other time was at Sebring. Kim let the second place car pass on the last lap.
I announced to our team, we're going to make a fake pit stop and come in and go out again. And then nobody was happy about it.
And going around that last lap, guess what? The car ran out of fuel.
Grace of God, for being nice guys, he runs out of fuel and we win the race anyways.
But that dominance would come at a cost. The sports governing body, the SCCA, effectively banned Corvette from competing in Baker's category.
During that period of time, our major competitor was the Porsche 944 Turbo.
Corvette never lost a race to Porsche during the Escort Endurance Series.
And I think that ultimately was the demise of the Corvettes in that series. They pulled the Corvette out of that series, and they created the Corvette Challenge.
And a big portion of that was due to what Kim had done.
Baker's talent behind the wheel led to a new role under the hood.
They asked Kim to politely not race in that series, but to build the cars and to set them up for the other race teams there. But please don't race the cars yourself.
I didn't do the actual engineering development. I just supplied them with data and laps.
What Kim and Baker Racing were doing on the racetrack was condensing the product testing that Corvette had to go through.
You can eliminate 100,000 miles of production road testing with a day at the racetrack.
And we would find things that needed to be fixed with the car, and next year those fixes were put into production by Chevrolet for the Corvette.
I got to work with the best engineers at Corvette. You know, I got to work with John Heinrichsey and Jim Miniker.
So we were actually competitors all the way through from like 1984 right up to 1990. And I'd say fierce competitors. When we got into the endurance run and you saw Kim as a team member, it was a totally different Kim.
He helped us understand where the real sweet spots were and helped us gain a better and more durable Corvette.
The next Corvette included the legendary ZR1 and a record-setting run with Corvette's King of the Hill.
ZR1 was everything to Corvette and General Motors. It was a brand new ground-up engine. It could not fail. It would have been a disaster. So we had to make sure that it was durable and performed well, and Kim had a big part in that.
The ZR1 was the big hero. Never skipped a beat. Came right off the assembly line. It was production-built engine. In that test, there was a cement bridge, and I was standing on the bridge, and when the ZR1 went by, it displaced so much air, the concrete would raise up and bounce.
Heart of a racer, mind of an engineer, Baker's attention to detail is what continuously put him ahead of the pack.
He was so meticulous that when he was showroom stock racing a Fiat X19, there's marker lights in each corner, the front fenders and the back fenders. And I look in the back, and the little marker light is unscrewed from the socket hanging on the wire. I say, Kim, why'd you do that? He says, it lowers the center of gravity.
I came to know Kim Baker 1982 at a race at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. And Kim was there racing with Fiat in an X19. At the end of the day, I'm driving back to my hotel, and I see Kim and his co-driver doing pit stop changes.
I had Tony Simonera as a co-driver for that manufacturer's challenge, and he never raced before, so I had a lot of training to do.
Tony was big, Kim is small. When you put two drivers of a different size into a car and you have to change belts, it's sort of a complex, time-consuming event.
He got out of the car faster than he thought he would because I grabbed him and pulled him out.
Kim had Tony sitting outside, up and down out of his car for hours on end. And that, to me, told me anything anybody wants to know about Kim Baker.
All the pieces of this Hall of Fame journey fit perfectly, starting with Kim Baker's choice over 40 years ago.
If I didn't choose the C4 Corvette, maybe I wouldn't have been successful.
Kim Baker shaped the entire future of the Corvette because of what he did with that C4 car.
He was top-notch all the way through, and when you think about him going into the Hall of Fame, that's the kind of person you really want to have in there.
I remember seeing letters from General Motors congratulating him and thanking him for all the work he's done, and it's a big public display of how good the car is, mainly because of how good he made the car.
I consider myself the luckiest racer around to be working with Kim.
When he'd get something done and I'd ask him how'd that go, he'd say, or perfect. Kim, you did it perfect.
I owe the Hall of Fame committee everything right now. They were to recognize me. At this point in my life, that means everything. It means some people haven't forgotten.
For his pioneering performance and championship legacy, we welcome Kim Baker into the Corvette Hall of Fame.
Just as Kim Baker was dominant racer in C4, fellow Corvette driver Tony DeLorenzo shattered records in the C3. Together with Jer Thompson, DeLorenzo won more than 20 races in SCCA, 8 production class racing. In the 1970s, DeLorenzo piloted the Owens-Corning Corvettes to class wins at Sebring and Daytona. Both Baker and DeLorenzo embodied the winning spirit of privateers, racers who built teams from the ground up and demonstrated the excellence of Corvettes on the racing world's biggest stages. Tonight, they both take stages as members of the Corvette Hall of Fame. Here tonight to formally induct Mr. Kim Baker is 2009 Corvette Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Tony DeLorenzo.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled to be here at the Corvette Hall of Fame induction ceremony tonight with the distinct honor of inducting this year's racing nominee, Kim Baker. Like many of us, Kim became obsessed with cars and racing long before he could drive. While I became hooked the first time I heard the roar of engines at a racetrack with my uncle at the age of 18, Kim's lifelong obsession began well before that. He was racing quarter midgets at age 5.5. Wow. And then transitioned to go-karts and was winning from the very start. His youthful obsession fueled his career, and his legendary attention to detail helped make him one of the most successful Corvette racers of all time. As a fellow racer, I view Kim's absolute success in endurance racing as mind-blowing, winning 10 of 19 endurance races, 3 consecutive SCCA endurance championships, incredible victories at Mid-Ohio and Mossport 24-hour races. That's like, wow, really cool. There's pretty much nothing that says I'm the best, like being so good that no one can compete with you. And not too many people get to say that their achievements were so great and their dominance of the competition so overwhelming that they got banned from their sport. But Kim pushed himself, his team, and his cars to a level of consistent excellence that made Corvettes completely superior, paving the way to the creation of the Corvette Challenge. Kim just didn't race to win. He redefined what it meant to race a Corvette and drove a transformation of our sport. Most impressive to me is that consistency, making his cars, his engines, and his team durable, reliable, and ultimately unbeatable. As a team owner, crew chief, and engine builder, he turned Baker Racing into a powerhouse with his iconic yellow number 4 Corvette, becoming a symbol of that excellence. That car, undefeated in 1987, and incredibly, with no mechanical DNFs that year, won 5 out of 7 races in the Escort Endurance Series, outpacing every rival and earning a place in history. Kim's partnership with Goodyear, his meticulous testing as a Corvette development driver, and his contributions to the ZR1 program, including setting a 24-hour world speed record. These are all just awesome achievements that speak to his talent, skill, and dedication that have resulted in a storied career for him and have further elevated Corvette. From precocious 5-year-old to racing legend, Kim has left an unmatched mark on Corvette racing. Kim, on behalf of the National Corvette Museum, welcome to the Corvette Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to do my best. This is pretty emotional. I may choke up a little bit, but excuse me. I was 5 years old when I climbed into my very first quarter midget race car in Springfield, Massachusetts. That car was about the size of my current lawnmower. With my parents cheering me on, I won that first race, and I knew I found my true love. No offense to my wife. Even as a little kid, I loved the competition, the adrenaline, and the thrill of crossing the finish line first. What I didn't know back then was that one tiny car and one small victory would eventually lead me here tonight to the Corvette Hall of Fame, accepting the honor of a lifetime. So first, a heartfelt thank you to the Corvette Hall of Fame. The National Corvette Museum, and the board members who made this event possible. Without your dedication, Corvette's story could have slipped into the shadows of history. Instead, because of you, it will be the source of inspiration for generations to come. Now, about my own story. Racing Corvettes was always fun. Well, almost always. Winning helped, losing didn't. But the real gamble wasn't just on the track. It was financial. Endurance racing is brutal. It eats money as fast as tires. And the only way to grow was to win. So we absolutely had to win. And through it all, my family, friends, and team stood by me. I've been racing with many of these people for over 40 years. And that means we've grown up together, we've grown old together, and somehow still haven't grown tired of each other. My wife, Patricia, who deserves a medal for putting up with me, could not be here tonight. She has supported everything I have undertaken, and at one time, she persuaded me to purchase a NASCAR stock car. It will be fun, she said. She doesn't build it or maintain it or drive it, so it's fun. And it was fun until it wasn't. Let's just say that car turned from dream machine into what was I thinking in record time. But here's the thing. Racing is always unpredictable. Just ask my old friend Tim Kerrigan, past president of Redline Oil. Throughout my career, Tim formulated innovative lubricants to my specifications, giving our cars more power and better fuel economy. He offered me $25,000 if I won the Pepsi 150 at Watkins Glen. Tim felt his checkbook was safe. Because I was racing against Winston Cup drivers and huge teams, and we had just bought this car a couple weeks ago. But our car suffered the worst setup adjustment in history. And even I thought his checkbook was safe. As the crew rolled the car onto the grid, the crew chief pointed to our car and proclaimed, "That's the winning race car, right there." My wife was praying it was the winning race car. And against all odds, amidst smoking wrecks and chaos, we won the Watkins Glen Pepsi 150. And Tim, a man of his word, wrote the check. And I'd like to thank everyone who came here tonight. My brother, Dr. Maury Sandler, and his fiancée, Cammie, came all the way here from New Orleans. I'd like to thank my brother-in-law, Brian Sable, and his wife, Melinda. They came here from Savannah. Brian's a real Corvette guy through and through, with a flawless C1 to prove it. My friend Glenn Wiley and his son EJ from the Western Mass Corvette Club came here from Granby, Massachusetts. My dear friend John Dinkle and his wife Wesley are here from California. John is one of the world's leading automotive journalists and a brilliant engineer. I met him when he organized the annual Road and Track Manufacturers Challenge Cup races at Lime Rock. Every major car manufacturer entered cars. I represented Fiat, and we defeated all the major car companies 3 years in a row. The prize was a Rolex, and I won all of John's Rolexes. And he's never forgiven me for that. He reminds me of it every time I see him. And also like to, he also, excuse me, After many of our Corvette races, we worked an extra day or two testing tires for Goodyear. John was invaluable. With his high degree of engineering skill, he worked with us for most of that testing. John also gave me priceless advice on the politics of racing, which I previously never understood at all. For over 40 years, he's been there for me, guiding me through that maze, and for that, I'll be forever grateful. John Bruce and his wife Debbie drove their Corvette here from Boston. John was our chief strategist. He was the ultimate strategist. During those long-distance, multi-driver endurance races, the unexpected lurked at every turn. But with John, I never worried. Whatever problem appeared, we solved it. Whatever call he made was the right one. Strategy was his art, and he was instrumental in our many wins. I'd also like to give a big thanks to the Corvette engineers who always had our backs. Chief Engineer Dave McClellan, Doug Robinson, Jim Miniker, John Heinrichsey, and Scott Allman. Thank you. You gave us knowledge and technical support, and that made all the difference. Also to the Goodyear Tire Company, led by Leo Mell. Thank you for standing by me since day one. You didn't just give us tires, you gave us opportunities, data, and even cars. We wouldn't have been competitive without you. And of course, the pit crew, our unsung heroes. These guys were real athletes, vaulting over the wall like Olympians. They gave everything they had every race. And after 40+ years, they are here tonight. Glenn Hallett, Ed O'Brien, Paul Curto, Nick Curto, and I also honor those we've lost, Jay and Jeff Capuano and James O'Brien. Maybe it was fate, but exactly 40 years ago, this weekend, we crossed the finish line at Lime Rock Park to claim our very first professional Corvette victory. And just a few weeks later, on September 28th, my birthday no less, we powered through the Mid-Ohio 24-hour race and scored our second $50,000 Goodyear bonus. Those back-to-back wins weren't just trophies, they were fuel. With each bonus, the team grew stronger and unstoppable, rising to become the favorite to win the 86 and 87 championships. And just on another note here, what most people don't realize is that a 24-hour race isn't really a 24-hour race. It's more like a 48-hour race. You're up at least 8 hours before the race, making sure nothing stupid happens or nothing falls off the car at 160 miles an hour. Then you actually run the race, which feels like an eternity. And when it finally ends, you're not done. You've got tech inspection, the awards ceremony, hopefully, loading the cars, packing the gear, and then either a long drive or a flight home. By then, you've basically aged a year or two. And that doesn't even count the weeks of prep before each race. endurance racing is a full-time job where you don't sleep and your paycheck may end up being tire smoke. We were deadly serious at the track, but afterward, that depended. If we won, the trip home was pure joy. Laughing, cheering, one big celebration. But if we came in second, or worse, total silence, not a word. You could hear the sound of depression bouncing off the walls all the way home. Fortunately for us, we didn't have many of those silent rides. We were lucky, yes, but let's be honest, we were also really good. If I have forgotten to mention any of my friends and longtime supporters, I apologize, and I'm sure I'll hear about it later. And I'd also like to recognize Mitch Wright. Mitch Wright came today, and I didn't expect him, and he was one of our best drivers, so I really appreciated Mitch. And again, here we go. Now, the long, eventful days of the track are behind me, unfortunately. And yes, I do miss it all. But tonight, I look forward to my continued alliance with Corvette and the National Corvette Museum, and someday meeting that next quarter midget winner who will become a champion. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, crew, and thank you, teammates.